Let's start this thing. Yeah, bro. My friend, slice this thing up for yourself. Get a half.
There is a number here. Oh, take the mic and what you're saying. Oh, viewers, there is a number here. What does this number mean? That number is 90. Yeah, 90. 90. Yeah. That is the price of the fruit. Yeah, this is the price it should cost. It should be sold. Yeah, and not from the farm. Yeah. No, from the vendor to the person to consume. From the vendor to the consumer. Yeah, but from the farm is even cheaper. From the farm is like let's say 30. Yeah. And this $90 should be 145. 145. Yeah, so this 90 is less than $1. Some few cents here and there, I see.
Yeah, and it's a good vibe. As my friend chops the melon there for himself, my friend, let me tell you what we do. You see, every good tree that bears good fruit, mostly passers-by throw stones at it to try to get the fruits, my friend. You see, this video is about the different fruits that each individual can produce, my friend, the different virtues. I'm sure you can think of some which can be life-changing and help in uniting the whole world. My friend, I'm speaking about fruits like love, fruits like honesty, fruits like peace, forgiveness, kindness, among other fruits, my friends. Which we here are, this thing is sweet. This thing is sweet. My friends, but it cannot be sweeter than the videos that we have today. Good Vibe Soul Child of God. We shall be reacting to extremely interesting videos with mind-blowing information, Good Vibe Soul, all with the aim of spreading the good vibes fruits of each individual out there to the world. Now, my friend, for us to be guided and deliver these fruits perfectly to each individual, we have to be guided by our Maker, our Redeemer, whom when he was down here, my friend, in form of human, because of the good fruits they bear, some stones were thrown at them. Like, let's hear what the book is telling us about what they went through. The Creator. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from men, hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. My friends, that is from Isaiah 53:3 going down. Looks like he went through a lot of persecutions and hard stuff. You see, let's give thanks to this Maker, my friend, that went through all that for us. Thank you, dear Lord Father, for your love and goodness. Thank you for reminding us, dear Lord, of your unending love towards us, Father, of all that you have or you did for us, Father. Thank you for that. Thank you for your child, Father, that have joined us today. Thank you for the many blessings, dear Lord Father, that you've stored up for them through this video, Father. Thank you for the forgiveness of their sins, Father. Thank you, even, dear Lord, for their uplifting. And as you do great things for them, Father, include us too also, Father. Help us to spread love and light together with this child to the whole world, Father. And may this video, Father, change the lives of the people that they shall come across it. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Let's dive in, good vibes. So,
even going back to what the brother talked about with the homosexuality with the rap, here's the kicker. It's not that the rappers are gay. That's not it. That's a misconception. What it is, it's about control. See, that's what makes it, that's why you see so many buffoons nowadays in television and film, doing things that we know, like, wow, Jamie Foxx, you would say that? Wow, Jay-Z, you would actually sit there and do an anti-Semitic commercial? Because they're in a bind, because see, Jay-Z's not gay. I'll use him as an example. He's not gay, But once you reach a certain level within that weapon of mass destruction, you have to give something up. There's something that you're going to give up because you got to be down with that crew. And how do I know? Because it happened to me. That is why I'm standing here talking right now. I reached a certain level in that station. I was the only producer to ever come as a new kid and create a multi-million-dollar revenue generating show. I was the only producer in there that artists would come and be like, oh, I need D. Brad to do my show, or that actually helped create an image for artists. So it reached a certain point where now it's time for them to introduce me to the inner workings of this monster that's created. And that's why nowadays we see people caught up on secret societies, but it ain't no secret if everybody's talking about it. You know, and everybody talks about the Skull and Bones, A, B, C, and D, because that's old news. You feel what I'm saying? What's happening is it was passed down to to everyone in the urban industry. So now you have a rapper who will get turned out by a high-ranking label exec because, well, what you gonna do? I mean, if I want to be a rapper and I walk in the label exec tells me that this is what I need to do for him because, hey, he put my album on when I really wasn't that talented. But they pushed me because they saw that I was something that they could sell. So when you bring me in a room and there's my favorite rapper right there who's in the same room, so that must mean he must have committed the same gay act as I did. So at the end of the day, depending on where your level is within yourself, you'll go do it. And it's easy for those of us to sit back and say we wouldn't do it. But the majority of us, and I know it's going to be kind of harsh, but the majority of us will never fulfill our dreams. So we'll never be in a position to say what we would or would not do. You understand what I'm saying? We'll never be in that position. Because before I got there, I would say the same thing until I got there. You understand? So I literally lived the devil taking me up the mountain and saying, you can either go to the left, you can have all of this. And I was there. It was ritualistically done. The vice president sent his right-hand man to me 3 straight weekends. They do everything in threes. 3 weekends in a row. Hey, D. Brad, let's go hang out. And every weekend, he kept beating me in the head. Get rid of this Rap City, man. You can do more than Rap City, D. Brad. You can do more than you need to come with us. Then the 3rd night, it was the vice president's birthday. They picked me up in a long white stretch limo. We go to Joe's Uptown, up in the Bronx in New York. We go to Joey hanging in VIP. Get me everything I want. Then every time we hung out, it was the same way. Then they bring me to the back room. And in the back room, they had this long table with a white sheet set out. I mean, beautiful thing. Looked like the damn Last Supper. On one end is Derek Jeter. There's Stephon Marbury. There's Fat Joe. And I'm chilling. But the whole night, the vice president is on me like this. I'm trying to talk to the model chicks. He's like, nah, D. Brad, come on, sit right here. So then we party. But I'm not a drinker. So if I don't get unnecessary spirits inside of me. We get inside the limo. He drops his right-hand man off quickly. We're in the car, the man standing across looking at me like I owe him something now. And I know the look because when I was young, I had the same look for women that I took out. So I know the look, and I know the energy. And while he's doing that, he's sitting there with his legs spread open, rubbing his balls. Now, I'm in a situation where I'm like, no, what am I going to do? This is my vice president, this is my boss. But the problem is, I was just raised differently. You understand what I'm saying? I was brought up differently. So for me, I had to turn that away. But what the hell that I caught after that, this is why I don't come down on those who buffoon and sell out, because everybody ain't built for this war. Everybody's not built for that. I've been homeless. I've had my name destroyed. You understand? I've had to walk with my head up when I've been dead ass broke. He ain't seen me for like a year because I wasn't coming home when I was broke like that. I was ashamed of myself. I went from being a man to nothing because I would not cross over. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I want to get out the way in the beginning, because we come down hard on people. But if you've never been there, I went from making $100,000 a year with no kids to making nothing. You understand? To work at minimum wage jobs. So the reality of it all is, it's tough. And we are in a psychological war. And that's what television is. That's the weapon of mass destruction, is television. And everyone knows that. Why? Because where do we get the term weapon of mass destruction from? Television. So like my man said, really the reality of it is, I'm going to drop it at this because I love listening to Black Dot, so I'm being selfish, y'all. But the reality of it all is this. As a television producer who was Dave Chappelle's stand-in, which means I did his rehearsals season 1 and 2 of Chappelle's show, I saw what happened to Dave. Dave used to give me advice all the time. And one of the key things he told me was, no matter how much money they offer you, and he said they, as he pointed in my chest, he said, never forget who you are or where you come from. And he walked away from me. And I didn't get it at the time until the nigga left. Then I said, oh. And him and Charlie Murphy would tell me the same things all the time.
What happens next? The final pope Tell us about that, Tom.
Yeah, Gary, and first of all, let me preface this by saying it is not hype to say that this is the most important research I've ever personally been involved in, and the prophetic implications of it could be beyond any kind of hype that I'd be able to add to that anyway. It does use a famous Catholic prophecy that's simply called the prophecy of the popes. People can look it up on Wikipedia if they want to know more about that. But what makes this prophecy important is that given almost 900 years ago, 1139 or approximately 900 years ago, was published out of the secret archives of the Vatican, right? Brought out and put into a book called Lignum Vitae over 400 years ago. But what does this prophecy do? What does it say? Well, it tells us every pope that would exist from the time of Malachio Morgare, so Celestine II, down to the final pope, who it names Petrus Romanus, Peter the Roman. And why this pope is important is because, according to the Catholic prophecy, this will be the false prophet of end times fame who will help give rise to the Antichrist. I've been saying publicly something that I have never said before about any book that I've written, including best-selling books, and that is that this is without doubt the most important research I ever personally have been involved with, because, in fact, I can tell you that when Chris Putnam and I were doing the research, there were 2 or 3 times we stopped in our tracks. Stuff started falling in our laps, from dusty corridors inside universities, lost books, all the way to Dane County, Wisconsin, and the murder of Edward Coons. I mean, people are going to read about stuff in here that they haven't read anywhere else, and when you put the math together behind the probability that this is all chance, it becomes, well, let's just say you'd have to be living on another planet not to know that there is something going on, and it smells.
Is it possible to get a tattoo like this if you're not a gang member?
No, you gotta kill.
You gotta kill to get those tattoos. How do you feel right now?
Gotta recognize that what happened to us is like that Titanic, that we were big and strong gang, but we got hit with the iceberg.
Are you gonna be here the rest of your life?
Yeah, the rest of my life. We murdered a lot of people, and this is the consequence of what we did one day. Like, try to act strong in the day and cry in the nighttime.
You cry at night?
Yeah, because we know that we're not gonna get out of here. It's a maximum security prison.
What was the gang that you were a part of?
MS-13.
NASA killed a guy because they didn't want him to be the first man to walk on the moon. He was just not who they wanted to represent this really crazy time in American history. Yeah. And, an astronaut needs to be X, Y, and Z. And he was not that. He was like a rogue dude. And so they just killed him by setting the pod on fire, killing all 3 astronauts inside of it. And then there was a whistleblower that was actively testifying about this is what happened. And then they killed him and his entire family with a NASA train going 40 miles per hour in reverse, leaving a NASA facility, mysteriously, somehow by coincidence, crossed paths with this guy's vehicle with his entire family in it, and ran him off the road, and somehow flipped it so many times that everyone ejected except one person. And then the witness that was like, oh yeah, it was just like a freak accident, was just a lady that was living in a house that NASA owned, and she didn't even work for them, and she wasn't paying rent.
Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma and the Plan for a One World Government. Albert Pike, a high-ranking Freemason, allegedly outlined a 3-world war plan designed to bring about a one-world government. We've already seen the first 2 world wars play out according to this structure. What would the final phase look like, given the current geopolitical landscape? Let's break it down step by step. 1. Pike's alleged plan for 3 world wars. World War I executed. Goal: destroy the Russian monarchy, spread atheistic communism, and destabilize Europe. Outcome: the Bolshevik Revolution, the collapse of empires, and the foundation for the League of Nations. World War II executed. Goal: strengthen communism to counterbalance capitalism, create the Zionist state in Palestine, and further weaken European nationalism. Outcome: the rise of the United Nations, the Cold War dialectic, and global centralization of power. World War III in progress. Goal: Ignite a war between political Zionism and the Islamic world, destabilizing all governments and belief systems. Desired outcome: a world so exhausted by chaos that they will accept a global authoritarian system as the only solution. The final war is designed to break down all religions, all national borders, and usher in total global rule. 2. The key players in the modern World War III narrative. If Pike's plan is real, the chessboard is already set. The characters in play include United States and NATO, hegemonic force pushing globalism under the guise of democracy. China and Russia, controlled opposition used to push an alternative authoritarian model. Middle East and Israel, flashpoint for religious and geopolitical conflict. Corporate and banking elites, using financial manipulation and AI to transition power to technocracy. Transhumanist and AI movements, preparing for total surveillance, digital IDs, and centralized cryptocurrency. Each faction appears to be at war, but the ultimate goal remains global consolidation of power. Top 3. How they would implement the final steps of a one-world government. Stage 1. Economic collapse and digital reset. Create inflation, food shortages, energy crises, and mass debt slavery. Introduce CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, as the new system. Make cash obsolete, forcing dependency on digital currency controlled by AI. Stage 2. Civilizational breakdown and chaos. Encourage social division through racial, gender, and ideological conflict. Use mass migration to destabilize borders, erasing national sovereignty. Provoke war in key areas, Israel, Palestine, Taiwan, Ukraine, to justify global military intervention. Stage 3. AI surveillance and transhumanist integration. Introduce social credit systems that monitor and restrict human behavior. Normalize brain-computer interfaces, Neuralink digital twins, to merge humans with AI.
Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. This is the model, and this is diagramming all the frequencies of the elements and what their vibrational frequencies are, and the numbers that measure those frequencies. And they're all the numbers we get from looking at these ancient traditions that recur over and over and over again.
And so through this technology, they're able to move stones or cut stones or all the above?
All the above.
We call these transducers, which is just a fancy word for speakers. These speakers, they only work at one frequency, and this frequency is 40 kilohertz, which we shouldn't be able to hear. Only bats, dogs, and other animals should be able to hear 40 kilohertz. But because the ultrasound is so powerful, if we put some particles, they should be kept in midair with the power of sound. And all these shifts that they are just being like kept there with air, actually it's not air, it's the ultrasound pushing them from all directions.
Scientists already knew that sound...
Richard, can I ask you a serious question? About young comedians. About young girls, ask me about that. You don't like young girls? Say you don't like young girls on television. Smile if I don't like young girls. No, I like young girls. Yeah, I fuck them. I ain't no good, ain't trying to be no good. I ain't no good, ain't trying to be no good.
I may end up running off with you myself, you know.
That's what Steven says.
It's Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good director, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg is a pedophile.
Can you tell us a secret about Steven Spielberg? He eats babies. Whole babies.
You have a daughter who's a really good-looking chick. Well, you may be able to change her life and improve your financial status. Because Prince Andrew is looking for a new girlfriend. Just drop a nude photo of your little nymphette in a self-addressed stamped envelope and mail it to Royal Affair, Buckingham Palace.
Let's
turn to a Rockefeller Foundation report. This was published in 2010. It's called Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. It's basically got 4 different scenarios on how to get humanity toward the new world order that they're so obsessed with. One of those 4 scenarios is called Lockstep. This was published 10 years before anybody ever heard of a COVID, a SARS-CoV-2, any of this stuff. And in Lockstep, they imagined a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing pushback. And so the whole scenario actually revolved around a pandemic, a novel virus that was spreading around the world, and that for the first time in all of human history required mass quarantine of well people, total removal of all freedom, and so much more. It's all in there, right? 10 years before COVID. But let's go real quick now to what it says about China. The Chinese government's quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of the virus far earlier than in other countries, and enabling a swifter pandemic recovery. Wow, so for the first time in human history, we decided to quarantine all citizens. And I think people kind of got used to the new normal. This is not normal. Right? Historically, a quarantine is for sick people. You quarantine sick people so they don't infect well people. Here we're talking about quarantining everyone.
A lot of you have probably seen the popular animated TV show Rick and Morty. A mad scientist named Rick decided to invent a machine to serve him butter. When the machine became sentient and realized that its entire sole purpose was to serve butter, it went into a depressive state. This is a good way to understand that Gnostic cruelty of physical existence. Rick's battery on his car quit working, so he had to shrink himself down into a macrocosmic level to go into the battery. There was an entire civilization of living physical entities whose efforts and energy is actually what powered Rick's car. Rick pleaded with Morty and said, "Do not tell these people that their sole purpose is to power my car. It would create chaos." The living entities, the conscious beings within this reality, wouldn't be able to handle the brutal reality of their existence being for the sole purpose to power some dirtbag's car. It would cause mass suicide. When Rick goes down there as an avatar, he's considered a god. This is obviously funny and humorous to watch for us because we know that that's a TV show and we don't have to worry about that. We live in objective reality, right? There's no way that we are a power source for an evil entity. It can't be. That certainty that we are not a food source for a higher creature that could be, in a way, malicious is hubris. It's ego. We think we're the top of the food chain, and when we find out that we're not, we freak out.
Aye, look at this guy. Look at this hand signs, my friends. This looks like some people's king. Why is he also doing that symbol? English people, is this your king? What's up? Is this the new greetings that you use in English lads, or what's going on here? Why does it look like some things you've been seeing from different episodes about the 33 Degrees Brothers, something like that? Good vibe source. I don't think this has a relation with those things. You see, you please leave your thoughts down below. This is just one big coincidence. Look at this guy. Why did they all do that? Maybe he thought of getting a pen from his pocket, then thought otherwise. Do you think that's what was happening? Probably. Maybe. What? All these guys, they had something to get from their pockets. This is unbelievable. Or is it some wealthy people fancy type of pose? You tell me in the comment section, good web source. This is weird. Oh my god. Even this guy doing those weird signs. Man, this is bizarre stuff. This is unbelievable. Oh my god. Look at this.
Trump calls for a golden age as soon as he's inaugurated, the day of the inauguration. And he says 2 specific things that stood out to me. He said, we're going to be respected, we're going to restore order in America, and we're going to expand our borders. Well, when Augustus became the first Augustus, when Caesar, Octavianus, became the first Caesar, that was his plan. He said, I found Rome a city of bricks, and I left it a city of marble, and restore order, and then expand the Roman borders, which they did. And that was considered the golden age of Rome. They called it Pax Romana, the Roman peace. And so you have Trump, the first sitting president to attend the Super Bowl, at Caesar's Superdome. And the Caesar Superdome logo is gold, and Trump is gold, orange. He's a Braxis, essentially. He's the golden bronze god. Or if you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dennis says I'm the golden god.
The golden god is not taking questions. I am the golden god.
The ratio is always the same. 1 to 1.618 over and over and over again. Patterns are hidden in plain sight. You just have to know where to look. Things most people see as chaos actually follow subtle laws of behavior. Galaxies, planets, seashells. The patterns never lie, but only some of us could see how the pieces fit together. 7,080,360,000 of us live on this tiny planet. This is the story of some of those people. There's an ancient Chinese myth about the red thread of fate. It says that the gods have had a red thread around every one of our ankles and attached it to all the people whose lives we are destined to touch. This thread may stretch or tangle, but it will never break. It's all been predetermined by mathematical probability, and it's my job to keep track of those numbers, to make the connections for those who need to find each other, the ones whose lives need to touch. I was born 4,161 days ago, on October 26, 2000. I've been alive for 11 years, 4 months, 21 days, and 14 hours, and in all that time, I've never said a single word.
Why the fuck would this random old comedian joke about something so dark? Just watch this shit.
You ever stop and realize how fragile all this is? All you'd have to do would be eliminate electricity. No electricity, no lights. You're back to candles and lanterns, campfires and bonfires. Batteries couldn't be recharged. Generators couldn't be refueled because fuel is pumped electrically. So is water, by the way. So no lights, no fuel, no water. Without electricity, all across America, the gates and cell doors of penitentiaries and mental institutions would fly open. Police wouldn't help you. They'd be gone at the first sign of trouble. They'd be home protecting their own families. So would the Army and the National Guard.
Now, didn't Trump just mention this in a speech?
The big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any electricity.
And now we have another one of his friends literally telling us how and when to prepare.
A couple of things that you need to have on hand would be some type of a water filtration system, a generator, but on top of that, some type of a solar inverter. I would get a Faraday bag to put those generators in, figure out what electronics you think you're actually going to need the most, maybe light, heat, because if the grid goes down, there's not going to be any heat, and it's going to be extremely cold in some places. But another thing people don't think about is tools. Hand tools to be able to increase the infrastructure in your house and protect against the desperation of humanity that's coming.
And when this happens, information is going to be the most powerful resource because nobody's going to know what to do. Which is why everybody in my family has one of these. How to build your own water filter. How to make your own solar power system. How to build a water heater because
I ain't got no manners for no
I ain't got no manners for no
I'm gonna put my thumb in her butt.
I'ma put my thumb in her butt.
I like girls kissing girls where I'm from. That's on the radio. Girls on girls, that's promoting lesbianism to my daughter as we driving to school. This song they playing with Drake.
Girls want girls where I'm from.
Everything that you're saying has some truth to it. It's just the delivery.
When you addressing evil, you can't worry about the delivery. When you looking at the conditions of our community, you can't worry about the evil when you got kids that kill kids and say we on Tuka.
In my lung, I say that every time 'cause he got
These talking about killing each other. They really, that thug said, I shot at your mama, you don't mention me no more.
I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mention me.
He really shot that mama. These are confessing to murders on songs. Come on, don't be hypocrites, black people. Y'all can't listen to this music if y'all so caught up in my delivery.
Okay? Yeah. So this is the name for 0, which is this. Yeah. Okay? So this is Sifr, which means empty.
Okay, so this word was taken by the Latins when they took Arabic numbers and then they changed it from Sefer to Sefero, and then to Sefero, and then to Zefero, and then it was abbreviated into, can you see how the word zero came? So it is the abbreviation of the two first letters and then the last ones to get the word zero by the Latins. And then we say that the numbers are Arabic, and then we say algebra is Arabic, and then we say algorithm is Arabic, but we never actually say the person who invented the numbers or algebra. And then it is simple to know that the word algebra comes from this person, Ben al-Jabir.